make sure you at least trying to do your best to make sense of it. You got a question about it, ask, but definitely Google ain't teaching you nothing. Okay. It deleted your. What did? I don't know. Like number one, I saw a lot of stuff, and then we couldn't walk me through it, and some of us did. And some of you, Anywho, let's have a look at it. Somebody read it to us. A table for the values, equation. And then it said explain it, so that means you needed some words as well. Equation, what do we need for an equation? Slope and y-intercept. Which one can I find from the information they gave me? I said the y-intercept is when x is 0. Do you see x at 0? No, I can't find that just yet. What do we need to find slope? 2 points. What are our 2 points? All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and start working on some of that explanation as well. I found 2 points, or you can say I chose 2 points to use slope formula to find the slope. Some of y'all be missing points because you don't be wanting to do no writing. That's what explain means. We need some writing. All right, so looking at those 2 points, remember I told us we can label them to make sure we get them correctly. So that'll be x1, y1, x2, and then y2. Formula is y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So what's y2? y1, x2, x1. 10 minus 4, 3 minus 1. 6 divided by 2. What I mean, 3 is the slope. So I chose 2 points to use slope formula to find the slope to be 3. Then the y-intercept. Y-intercept was not there, so that means we had to work backwards. Remember what we said slope means? Slope means what? What does that mean? Rise over what variable? Or what coordinates? Y over x. Good. What was our slope up here? 3. Our slope was 3, so that means 3 for the y, 1 for the x. So 3 will be a whole number. Positive. So if I'm at 1 and I need to go to get 0 for x, that means I'm going to have to go which direction? I'm going to have to go back. So that means my slope is positive. If I take the inverse, it's going to be what? Negative. So we just going to do the opposite of that. So that'll be a -3, 1. So if y is increasing 3 for each one, now we're going to decrease 3. What's 4 minus 3? And then if x's are increasing 1, that means we're going to decrease 1 to get what? 0. Y-intercept is 1. So then we can say I use the slope backwards to get a y-intercept of 1. You also could have grabbed those points. Miss Gibson gave you some grid paper on Monday. You could have grabbed the points, connected your line, and saw where it crossed it. You should have crossed that 1. Don't rely on just, some of us said the y-intercept was 4, and we said that's because of where it started. So make sure we know y-intercept has to be x of 0. It cannot be the start of that graph. If it's not there, either you're going to use that slope and work backwards, or graph it on your grid and see where it's going to connect to. Yes, sir? Might have been 2 weeks. Or possibly be. And I thought about that last night. Because somebody emailed me and asked me, and I told them to graph. So the other day I had us to graph it and we looked at where it crossed it. Yes, that's a step that I think we're moving into possibly next week. Good question. Getting that? So if you just stuck on it and don't see it, put it on a graph. That ain't where I try to go to Google and try to get Google to tell me something. Especially don't listen to Google. You don't understand how Google is. So Google had changed it in a slope intercept form where they use one point and then they subtracted that and then subtracted the other one. Left the variables in there. It was real fun. And a whole lot of us gave me this, and I didn't know your mind ain't working that way. But into you. Any other questions about number one? Okay. Just remember, if I can't work that slope backwards, put it on my what? Yeah, use your graph. You lost your graph, you can't find it. You got another piece of graph I can use. I ain't never get one. I can get one. You need one too? Who else didn't do one? Okay, hold on. Okay. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Mercedes, was that it that just came to a few minutes ago? Was that what you was telling me that just came through a few minutes ago? Okay. Anybody else? Good. Yeah, that's our class pet. He come out of field about every day and he said right there, look at him. He said it's a new face over his mind. Y'all ain't never seen that class pet? No. It might be the other class. I'm round 4th period, 5th. I know 5th period he be in here around that lunch class. He just be over there. And sometimes I be up here teaching and I see him jump over there and I can say, that come over there? Yes, I can say over here. Don't be serious. Yeah. Y'all gonna test him? He might know something. All right, it said write the equation for the function that passes through the points 1 and 3/2 and 3/2 and 2. That gave us 2 points, so that should have been an indicator to do what? Find the slope, use slope form. Y2 minus Y1 divided by X2, X1. You could have labeled your points to make sure we put it in the correct place. All right, so what's Y2? And when you put that in there, thing type it. Everything for Y2, put it in one big parentheses. For those of you who put it in computer. So that would be 2 minus 3/2. But 3/2 is turned to 1.2. You sure 1.2? 1.5. I know what you mean. And then for your X2, put all that in parentheses. I'm talking those two, you have all your stuff in one row, and if you don't have no spaces between it, you just, that just kind of helped me look at it a little bit. So since we changed that to a decimal, we'll change that to a decimal. So 3/2 take away 1. So what's 2 minus 1.5? A half. 1.5 minus 1. A half. And then a half and a half makes a whole. So slope is a whole. Once again, we could have graphed these 2 points. Let's try that approach. Pull out your graph if you don't already have it out. And then I'm going to show you the other approach. Don't have to be exact, but try to get it as exact as we can get it. So the first one is at 1. So try to come over to 1 and then go up to 3 halves. 3 halves will be in between 1 and 2. And then the next one is at 3 halves. So that'll be in between 1 and 2 on the X. And then go up to 2. So it should have looked at something like that. The first one was 1 and 3 halves. So go over to 1 on the X. And then go up to you about in between 1 and 2. For the next one, go over 1.5. So in between 1 and 2. And then go up till you get to 2. Probably because I'm not using actual grid paper. All right, and then connect your lines when your points. Where did it cross that axis at? The Y axis. Now you connect the 2 points. Like y'all points cross. Keep going. Always go past the line so you can see how much you want to be around. Yes, like that. So where did you cross through at, ma'am? What number is it? So small. So small. Like 1. Then mine kind of matches up as well. So that y-intercept would be 1. But I think it's about a half. Other approach. You can take our points that we have, and I'm going to list them on top of each other. 1 and 1.5, and then we got 1.5 and 2. Right? That rule that we just found for the slope was 0.5 and 0.5. So that means the y's are increasing by 0.5 and the x's are increasing by 0.5. Or we can look at the 1. With the 1 and 1, that means y will be increasing by 1 and x will be increasing by 1. So then, if we do the opposite of that, will we be increasing by 1 or decreasing? Decreasing. So 1 minus 1 will get us what? 1.5 minus 1 will get us what? So the y-intercept is 0.5. And she said it was so tight on her graph, she really couldn't tell, but it is 0.5. And that's the rationale behind it. You can take that slope and work it backwards. You could grab it and try to squeeze your little eyes in there and see it clearly. So now that we have our slope and our y, what is our equation? One x plus 0.5. Or you could put the 0.5 in the front plus 1x. Either or. So you can graph it to see where it cross it. Or you can work backwards with that slope. Any questions? All right. Anybody still need something? Let's look at the last one. Last one wasn't too bad. They said write an equation for the function shown in the graph. Identify the slope and the y-intercept. So before we even look at any further, we got to look at that part. They said the equation of the function, identify the slope and the y-intercept. What do we notice? Okay, so it got a negative slope. Y-intercept is 5, okay. What else can we do to help get that line of that, the equation of that line? Okay, so we know it's negative, so when we get our 2 points and 5, it need to be negative. So your 2 points, what 2 points we going with? You welcome. 0, 5, and somebody said 2, 3. We can label x1, y1, x2, y2. It just depends on which one you had first and second on yours. All right, so then y2, y1 divided by x2, x1. What's y2? Y1, x2, and x1. 3 minus 5, 2 minus 0, 2. So the slope will be negative 1. 2 and 2 is 1. And then if 1 was negative, so negative. All right, so we got our slope, we got our y-intercept. What's the equation? Or you could have wrote it as y equals 2 minus 1x. So don't do a plus and negative, just do 1 minus. And you can just kind of look at, I like to underline and pay attention to the sign in the front. That'll help you see what you move. Okay, how do you get 2 over 2? From 3 minus 5 gave us negative 2, and then 2 minus 0 gave us 2. Okay. So then it had a second part to that. The second part of that said, then graph a different linear function that has the same slope as the function shown. And then everybody wanted to give me the same line. Then they told you to draw a line. Should the line look like her line? And 10 other lines? Okay. But anyway, I let that be slide. But most of us tried to draw me this line that ran through here. Line cricket. And that's how they was. It was just an ugly and cricket. Some of them didn't even try to show me in no belt. But most tried to give me that line right there. They tried to get it as close to that line as possible. And then they tried to tell me that their equation is y is equal to negative 1x plus 2. Because then it crossed at the 2. Huh? What's not the sign?
No, it asks for the same slope.
That's what I'm saying. The slope is the sign and y-intercept. That's why the 5 was different than 2.
The one that increases in the cost at I think that 2.
You didn't want to increase? I see one that increased.
No, I just did it right now. I didn't do it.
Did you check and find your equation? Uh-huh. Yes. And you could have did any line that you wanted. I only chose this one because most of the homework, they wanted to give me this one. And the only thing different was the y-intercept. The slope was the same, the y-intercept changed. Most gave us that one. So Leah got another one back there. She going like this. So the same thing, Kalia, since now you going in the opposite direction, you know your slope gonna be what? Positive. We now going up. So her slope will be positive. You can take 2 points, get the correct slope, and then you cross it somewhere at the 0, 1, one of them. So yeah, any of that. Whichever you draw a line, you could just do the same thing. Chose 2 points after you put your line and then find the slope. Questions about it? All right, we got a short activity today. I'm gonna see if we can squeeze it in. Come in first. After you finish with that homework, there's something there called classwork. As always, I'm gonna give you some directions about it, and then you know, time to have a look. Everyone with that same person in front of you. You can go right here. Yeah, there you go. All right, give you some directions. The directions I give you will be different than what's listed because I don't have what they have. So listen close. So I'm gonna give each pair 2 dice. How many dice? 2. How am I gonna give you 4? I'm gonna give you 2. I'm gonna give you a red and green. Red is gonna represent a negative number. Red gonna be what kind of number? Negative. So that must mean green is gonna be what? Positive. You and your partner. If you open it, go ahead and go to the second page. That'll really explain what I'm talking about. You got 4 greens on it. So when I give you and your partner these 2 dice, you're gonna roll this dice to get 2 points. How many points you gonna get? 2. Take the point I just rolled, and this is what I got. A green 4, so that 4 is gonna be what? And then a red 5, so that's gonna be what? So I can write that point as 4, 5. I'm gonna come on the side and I'm gonna write that as either 4 and negative 5, or it can be negative 5, 4. You get what I mean? So that'll be one of my points. Then I'm gonna roll the dice a second time to get a second point. How many points do we need? 2. After you get your 2 points, you're gonna grab them on that line. After you grab your 2 points, you need to find the slope. Questions about it? And then I got points right here, so then you can come and tell me what your 2 points were. Negative 4, 5, 1, negative 3. Questions about it? How many points? Red represent. Green represent. How many times are you doing it according to that paper? 2. Rolling it 2 times, that's for 1 green, and then you got a total of 4 to go. And y'all can choose to work with the same points, or if you want your own points and she get her own points, that's fine. But I suggest that y'all work with the same 2 points.